Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tech TLDR. Today we're doing an EV news update. I've been talking about it. I made an episode before and ended up deleting it because I just didn't like how it went. But today I'm doing it. I'm sticking with it. And let's talk about what we're going to be talking about today. Sparktars, an on-demand EV charging service. We're going to be talking about the brand new U.S. Postal Service vehicle that's been announced and manufactured. We're also talking about Foxconn, the company that makes iPhones, and the EV agreement they just got into. So if you want to know everything, stick to the episode. Be sure to drop a like on this if this is the content you want more of. It helps me out and lets me know. But let's get into why you clicked on the video. First story. Tech startup Sparktars. This is coming from Business Insider, and they are officially launching an on-demand EV charging station network. Sparktars, to give backstory, they produce and manufacture a little system called the Roadie, which is something you can take around with you, kind of like a portable jump starter to charge your electric car. They're making a system called Boost EV, and they're partnering with things like Allstate Roadside so that you can have a mobile app if you have an electric vehicle and you're not in access to, say, a car charger, or you just don't have the time to go and charge your car. You can put this on the app, kind of like Uber Eats. They'll come to you, plug it in, charge your car for you while you're at work or you're at home. You just don't have the time or the space. It's a pretty neat app and a pretty neat idea. They're only going to major cities right now to see how the system itself works, and if it does well, they're going to branch out into more smaller suburban sectors. I think it's a pretty cool idea. I don't think it's a long-term idea, though, to be honest. I think as we see EV charging networks and stations become much more quicker and more abundant, the need for a service like this may dwindle. It may still exist in the future somewhat. I don't see this being a very long-term thing, but I think it's going to be a cool thing to see over the next few years, seeing people running around sort of like DoorDash coming to charge a car. I think that's going to be a pretty funny thing to see. So Sparktars is claiming that the price for this is dependent on the actual vendor you're getting the service from and depending on the area you're in. I think over time it may be something, again, like I said, like DoorDash or Uber Eats, where you can kind of be your own little entrepreneur. If you buy this setup and go charge people's cars for them, this may be what helps accelerate the need for electric vehicles. Not the need, but I suppose the demand. A lot of people are skeptical and hesitant to buy an electric vehicle for the whole purpose that they don't have anywhere to charge it, they don't have anywhere to quickly charge it, there's no stations near them, etc. At least if this service exists, it may be that tipping point that gets a lot of people to finally grasp onto the concept of electric vehicles. The next story I want to talk about is Fisker and Foxconn. So Fisker is an electric vehicle startup that started about 2016. They've yet to actually release, manufacturing-wise, a vehicle to the public. They've given teasers and things like that, but they've officially partnered with Foxconn. Foxconn is the company that manufactures iPhones, and they're going to start manufacturing vehicles as soon as 2023 at about a rate of 250,000 per year. This was coming from Fisker's website itself. This is a Word document that they went in depth and talked about what's going to be happening with Foxconn. Now, my point of view on this whole story isn't so much about Fisker. It's a startup company. It may fail, it may not. I'm more interested in Foxconn developing this system, because if Foxconn can now develop electric vehicles and they also work with a company like Apple, will we see the Apple smart car developed by Foxconn? There's been a lot of speculation that Apple wants to get into the EV market, and who will be the company to produce it for them. There's talks that Volkswagen's companies will, that they're going to get their batteries from a company called QuantumScape. If Foxconn can come up with the means to make an electric vehicle, at a sturdy electric vehicle, we may actually see an Apple iCar sooner than we anticipated. It may come to fruition where, you plug in your phone or you talk to it, hey Siri, bring the car around the back, and the thing will drive to you. That could be a reality very soon. While we will have to wait a little bit for the Fisker car to come out, again, we may see Apple actually announce an iCar. So that is something I'm going to be paying very close attention to regarding the Apple and Foxconn contracts. Now, the last story I want to talk about, from ChargeEVs.com, the United States Postal Service has finally agreed on a contract for a new electric or semi-electric vehicle. I mean, you just look at this beautiful piece of equipment. This is, it's a Postal Service truck. So this is from ChargeEVs.com. I ended up going on to their actual website itself, Oshkosh, to see their official statement about it. And what they had to say was that they're going to be doing about 50,000 to 165,000 1,000 vehicles over the span of 10 years delivered to the United States Postal Service. Another thing they talked about that was kind of iffy on the Charge EVs document was that Oshkosh will actually be making half and half. So they're going to be making both zero-emission electric vehicles, and they're also going to be making fuel-efficient, low-emission combustion engine vehicles. If you don't know about the current Postal Service vehicles, they are one of the most inefficient vehicles on the road. I don't know how they're still on the road. They're awful on fuel mileage. They're so outdated and clunky. They're not safe. It's about time that the government, the United States Postal Service, finally agreed on a contract with a company. Oshkosh, of all people, they're actually a defense contractor. They make military armored vehicles. So this thing better be sturdy. And there's no reason for any sort of delay on my mail whatsoever. You know, for an ugly vehicle, it is pretty futuristic. It's got air conditioning. Hey, there we go. It's got a airbag. That's something I don't think the current vehicles have. A big part of this that this article talks about that is not stated on Oshkosh's website is that the company Workhorse, that is another electric vehicle startup that was specifically in like large utility vehicles. They're partnering with FedEx and UPS. They were supposedly almost guaranteed this contract to work with the USPS, and it had been postponed. And finally, the United States, they didn't go through with Workhorse. That was a big hit to that company. I would hope that they're still able to function and produce vehicles. I know that this was kind of what was going to get them off the ground. They've yet to really, commercially make a vehicle like a lot of these EV startups. But this contract was supposed to be the one that really got them off the ground, and now they no longer have it. They make really cool vehicles, the concept they've had, so I'm hopeful that Workhorse stays in the game of EVs and we get to see their vehicles come to fruition with FedEx and with USPS. But what do you know? U.S. government goes the U.S. government defense contractor. I would have never guessed that one. And the price, it ain't going to be cheap. When it comes to defense contracting, it's going to be a pretty penny. I can guarantee you that. If you guys like this episode of this content, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be making these as a consistent part of the channel. We're going to have space updates and EV updates. I'm probably going to do an every other day schedule. Space news one day, EV the next, and keep it going like that. That way the news and the updates I can bring to you guys are a bit more abundant, so that way I'm not really like stretching the littlest details. I can get more in depth into the more bigger stories. With that being said, guys, make sure to have a good one.